Hey, Ola.
Hey, Jay Sleece, welcome again.
Thank you very much. So what's
So,
this?
yeah. So we're doing a overview for Superdao. A quick overview because we have documentation that's pretty dense, and we want to provide a quick bird's eye view for anybody that's wondering what's so special about Superdao, right? So let's jump right in.
Cool.
Can you see my screen?
Yep.
All right, here we go. So Superdao, efficient multi-dapp two-tier DAO governance framework. Even with that mouthful, I wasn't satisfied because it's so much more than what that mouthful describes, right? So, SuperDAO, it's a decentralized autonomous organization that's meant to be efficient, right? In terms of being able to actually mimic what you have in traditional companies developing products and services. The same speed and efficiency is what you want with a DAO. With a DAO, natural DAO, you cannot have that because you have, you know, a requirement of voting and a time for that effective vote to take place and the outcome of the vote to be counted and whatever outcome to be put into practice. SuperDAO looks to solve that issue. Multi-DApp, meaning that it governs multiple decentralized applications. It's two-tier in the sense that we have multiple groups of users making governance decisions within the DAO, and it's a decentralized autonomous organization, meaning that is not bound by location, jurisdiction. If you have a computer and a will, you can participate in this organization. So, how did SuperDAO come into place? What is to note is that the history of SuperDAO started back in 2013 when I was looking for a suitable governance system to be that organization that develops Pokerium, which was formerly known as NXT Poker, Next Poker. Subsequently, SuperDAO was previously known as Next Poker DAO, which evolved to Pokerium DAO, and then finally we have the evolution, which is SuperDAO. And this all happened through time since 2013. Okay, and the organization was conceptualized to solve. In thinking about DAO formation, we early on came across issues of quorum due to participation apathy. How do you solve those? 51% attacks, efficiency and focus, as mentioned earlier, dealing with arbitrary contribution, evaluations and fair distributions, basically bounties and fair rewards. How do you automate that? How do you make sure that's fair? So, historically, before everybody knew about the DAO, right? Before the DAO became very popular, there was SuperDAO in another form, thinking about these issues and coming up with solutions that solve these problems. For example, the quorum issues, we basically theorized that in a decentralized system, you always need a secure system of record keeping and incentives, and also a staking mechanism to make sure that things with intent can be backed up by something of value, right? So in a nutshell, our DAO kind of mimics that with a more sophisticated hybrid two-tier system. And in thinking about the solution and coming to a more succinct specification for DAO, we came up with an onion model, which is basically a system that mimics the best qualities of an old legacy company, together with the freedom of a decentralized autonomous organization. Specifically to Superdao, in the middle, at the core of it, is what defines it, what it cares about, right? You have a set of governing rules and values and a vision, overarching vision, which represents constitutional-like definition. It is what is the soul of the DAO. I mean, and it governs the way in which the DAO operates and in the way in which it evolves. Now, outside of that core is the people that care the most about the formation of this entity, right? We're talking about founders, we're talking about co-founders, we're talking about early contributors. These groups of people are aligned, they have the most at stake, and there is an indication of what these group of people represent through something called merit, which is basically reputation. And the merit is basically reward for active historical contribution that is impactful in the organization, right? It has to have impact, and it is valuable to the organization as a whole. And outside of that is token. It is what basically encapsulates the whole DAO. It's sovereign, meaning that it has ultimate power over the whole DAO. So that's it in a nutshell. And these three layers, they provide a system of checks and balances between each of them, as defined in the core of the model, to prevent any malicious anti-missions or anti-progressive actions against the DAO. Token is the sovereign power. The reputation is the layer that provides efficient decision making. Subdivided into two groups of a core team layer. These are the early adopters and early participators, and then another layer of bounty hunters who have reached a limit but are still very passionate and are contributing from time to time to the DAO. And then the core is the rule set, the constitution, the mission, vision, and anti-missions that basically is the soul of the overall DAO and defines what the DAO is going to be going forward. All right, so the next slide, we have the key points on the onion model. I have summarized them, but I'll just go to make sure. The internal core, the first point, it's the internal core, which provides the DAO with a set of operating and fundamental principles on how to evolve and operate. The second point is the token holders who control the tokens are incentivized. It's a dynamic incentivized quorum that's used in voting, as well as there are penalties for apathy during major decisions that affect the livelihood of the DAO. There is the next point is a point that caters to the internal subset of active participators who are the most aligned with the values and the mission of the DAO to enable efficient development. And the last point is basically talking about the fact that the 3 layers basically allow for a system of checks and balances that is based on the operating principles and the rule sets to thwart tyranny of the majority and other threats to the mission of the DAO as a whole. To touch on the second layer after the core, the merits. The founders of the project, the founder of there is a I'm sorry, let me go back to kind of explain that layer. There is a subdivision of different individuals, individual categories. There are founders, there are co-founders, there's a core team as a whole, and there are bounty hunters. The founders are initiators of projects, right? Co-founders are early adopters who join these founders in the development of these projects that are initiated at a later time. The core team are people that are even more later than the co-founders who join the founders in the development of these projects. And bounty hunters are basically they are participators who were not fortunate enough to be within the limits of the limited number that is associated with a team. These bounty hunters are outside of that limits and are still valuable to the DAO in terms of, the impact they bring to the DAO. So they are rewarded with monetary value, tokens, and merits, which is basically reputation, on a structured budget with the core team. So to summarize, all classes of contributors are weighted according to their reputation and merits. The first 3 classes of people are a limited early number referred to as a core team and provided for in the DAO budget in a structured way. Bounty hunters, on the other hand, though, are rewarded arbitrarily on a case-by-case basis with tokens, cryptocurrency, and reputational merits. Does it make sense? I felt like I spent a long time talking there.
No. It made sense.
Okay. Specific to Superdao, we have several dapp teams. We have Quorums team, we have dapp team, we have another stealth dapp, which we are training more developers on. As time goes on, I'm sure that the token holders are going to be voting on more, valuable disruptive dapps that are, are fit for Superdao. And as a whole, everyone is a part of a committee. Internally, the bounty hunters and the core teams, they're part of a committee that votes on general internal issues that the token holders don't have to vote on every time. Now we are on the roadmap. We are at this point in time, while we're speaking, we are at the precipice of an announcement. After that would be a stage in which we are getting ready for a membership-driven crowdfunding, which is basically the public distribution of the rest of the token to the public, which, by the way, does not constitute anything that is monetary or an investment or anything of that sort. They're basic instruments that are used for complex activities such as membership, dispute resolution within our system, and so forth and so forth. After that, we have Superdao asset building, which is basically the training of a number of more developers We're looking to train 20 or 30 more developers. One thing I didn't mention though is that the DAO has state, which means that it goes from a state of centralization to decentralization. And the three states are the bootstrap stage, which is basically the founder stage, and then progressively into where the co-founders come into play and other developers. And then the funded stage, which is basically a post-crowd-funded era. And then we have the live stage, which is basically when the full DAO is in formation and token holders are reigning supreme and making big decisions. And that's basically explained the state. Obviously, the crowdfunding is coming up very soon, week 47 of 2016. After that, we have a contract, over-the-counter trading contract, which is the only means by which the Superdao tokens are going to be able to be traded, at least for the time being, while the DAO itself is still pre-live state. Once the DAO is live, all restrictions are removed, and the tokens can be traded anywhere that supports EVM blockchain. Week 8 of 2017, Superdao goes live. Week 11, dapp series alpha. Week 18, Quorums alpha ready. And the stealth dapp that we talked about earlier is looking to be going. We're looking to have that in the public in the 24th week of 2017. So that's Superdao in a nutshell.
It sounds awesome and very complex. Is there going to be a place where people can go to dive in deeper into the documentation?
Yeah, so we're going to have the resource, which is docs.superdao.io. And basically, people are going to be able to go there and read up on it. This video was just to provide a bird's eye view, just in case they don't want to do all that reading.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. Yeah, I'm excited to really dive into the material though. Thank you for showing me this, and I really appreciate it, man.
See you next time. No problem.